Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to create slanted columns in Revit for the diagrid building. If I pull up the original sketch right here, south view, and there we go. So you see the slanted columns right here. They start at the first floor, and at the 5th floor they go in 10 feet. Then they go out again 10 feet once you're up at the 9th floor, and that repeats for every 8 floors. These columns are 20 feet in width, 48 feet high. They're all the same dimensions. So now let's get started. We're going to go to level 1, and we're going to start with something that kind of goes against what we did in the first video about grid lines, but we're going to add more grid lines. I didn't add them in the first video because the group that's doing the straight columns doesn't really need to add more, but for this group I think it'll be just help you a lot, make it easier. So we're going to go to structure, grid, I'm going to change these to the one we created at the beginning. I'm going to name it 1.5. These grid lines are going to be 10 feet away from each of these grid lines, so they're going to go right in between. The reason I didn't add them at the beginning for you guys, I could have, I guess, but once you make the final drawings, it'll look better to have less grid lines. But when you're actually creating these slanted columns, it's going to be a lot easier for you to have those grid lines there so the columns could latch onto them. So, and I want to make some dimensions. Just to make sure everything's right. I'm having trouble changing it here. There we go. So just to confirm, that's 10 feet. And I'm going to make an array. We're going to need 6 of these. And now these are going to be every 20 feet apart. They weren't numbered how I wanted, but I'm just going to leave it at that because it doesn't really matter. We're going to be deleting these at the end. So now I'm going to just repeat the same thing on the other side here. Oh, you see that dimension's wrong, so I'm going to click on that line, then I type on the dimension, type in 10 feet, and now it's right. Let's change this again back to the other. End an array. Yeah, it doesn't look pretty right now, but we're going to be deleting it at the end, so it's fine. And we need to do a few more preliminary things. See, to draw these columns, we're going to actually be drawing on these side views, but Revit isn't really used to drawing on side views, so what you have to do is create a reference plane. There. Just click on the first top 2 grid lines. I'm going to name it north because it's on the north side. I'm going to repeat the same process for each side. This will be east. South. And west. Okay, now we have that done, we can start drawing on any side. I'm going to start drawing on the south side. You see the dotted lines are from the other reference planes, but we're just worried about the south view right now. So we're going to start by clicking column, specify new work plane, click name, and we're going to go to the reference plane that we just made, which is south for this view. Okay. Now we can start drawing here. You can choose any column size you want, or you can load one like we did before. I'm just going to do a 14 by 30. And we just start by drawing them in. Make sure it's right at the midpoint you wanted to. And we're going to go all the way up to level 5 at the intersection we created right there. And that's our first column. I'm going to go back there and connect them. And then I'm going to go right ahead to this midpoint again. But I'm going to go up to floor 9. Just make sure everything is right on the right point. And you may notice that something looks a little weird here. That doesn't look right. So we're going to go to the 3D view. And yeah, you'll see that that column is not right. It hatched onto the column for some reason. So we're going to delete that. When doing these side views, it's going to be really important to keep checking the 3D view because it's really easy to accidentally place a midpoint somewhere you didn't want. So it's always good to keep checking that. So I'm going to go back to the south. Let's try it again. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it did again. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do another step now to fix this, which is we're going to go back to level 1. And we're going to create section views. So we're going to go to View, Section. Let's just start at the west side here. We're going to be doing this for each side. So, and if it's facing, we want it facing toward the building. So we want to face right there. We find these little arrows. And that'll flip it. And see this little box right here? That shows that this is only going to show the views that are in this box. It's not going to show any of these columns or anything behind it. So that'll keep us from latching onto anything when we're drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the rest of them right now. Bring that box down to here. And you can switch this little circle if you want the circles opposite of each other, because I think it'll make it easier to read. So you don't have to worry about labeling them yet. They'll label themselves automatically later on when we start doing the sheets. And back to View and do the final one. That's how you create section views. So now, if we double click the one that's here on the south side, See, we'll see the columns that we made just now, but we won't see any of the vertical columns behind it. If we want to see more, we just lift up on that box to get a bigger view. And there we go. I'm going to go ahead and make this box bigger for the whole, so you can see the whole building. Which is just, you know, keep dragging it up till you see everything. And there we go. So let's get back down here. I'm going to go ahead and change the detail level to medium. And we'll try that column again. And there we go. That looks right to me, but let's go ahead to 3D view and check. And there we go. That looks good. So let's go back. We can go to sections. Don't remember what section number it was, so I'm just going to go back to level 1. Maybe I will go ahead and name these now. View name, south section, west section, okay. Let's go back to south section. And there we have our first columns. You may notice that I did these at the bottom, these at the top, and didn't try to mirror it because the way columns work is, well, I can show you, I can pull up the analytical model here. You see columns at the bottom, they're going to be green, but at the top, they're going to be red. Same here, bottom green, top red. Columns are designed in Revit so that they have to be placed so that there's a specific bottom and a specific top. You can't swap them, so you can't do a mirror, a vertical mirror with columns. You just have to redraw them, or copy and paste maybe. So let's go ahead. That section. But what we can do now is do an array all across here, so we don't have to repeat all of these again. I'm gonna head filter, but filter because I don't want to click any beams or anything. I only want those 4 columns. Now I can do an array. I'm gonna want 6 of these, and they're going to be 20 feet apart. And there we go. Now we have all of these done. I'm going to go ahead and ungroup all of these. Check and make sure we ungrouped. Yep. No boxes there. There are some boxes for the top elevations. I forgot to. When I made the elevations, I had to ungroup them. So. Yeah. You want to make sure everything is ungrouped in Revit for editing later on, unless you're still dimensioning. You only want to get rid of the ungroup once you finish dimensioning everything. You just want to start detailing it to, you know, make it look nicer. Adding the colors and everything. Let's see. No dotted boxes. The dotted boxes are there for those little temporary grid lines we added, but that doesn't matter right now. So, okay, now we have our first columns on the first 9 floors, and we're going to repeat that same process for basically every section. I'm going to go ahead and do that now for all the sections and cut to when I'm done. Okay, I finished putting all the slanted columns in each of the 4 section views. So if I pull up a 3D view, yes, we can see the little X's on each of the sides. And just to give you a few little more details, if we go to level 1, you're going to see that these columns look weird. They're going to look more bigger, deformed, or you might see more than one in one space, whereas here you might see one that just looks like a perfect eye, but that's because in slanted columns, they're going to look different in a floor plan view as you see here, because if we go back to this right here, you'll see that like the columns, the ends will go like above the floor level and below the floor level. They're not going to look the same. So if they look a little weird in the floor plan, that's normal. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to copy and paste these into the upper level floors. You could also use an array or several different ways to do this. You can keep drawing if you want to, but I'm just going to show you how to copy and paste them all. So I'm going to start by going to the 3D view. Oh, actually, I'm going to show you the old sketch again. If I can pull it up here. What we're going to be doing is copy and pasting all of these triangles onto the above floors. So what we're going to do is basically copy and paste this lower section twice on floor 9 and floor 17, and we're going to copy paste this upper section once onto floor 13. And if you have a bigger building, you're just going to have to add it to the extra levels that are needed, but it won't be extra work really. So it's good to write down. I'm just going to write down real quick the floors I need to copy and paste to. Alright, now let's go back to our tutorial sketches. Oh, and one more thing is with this section view, you might see these little other sections of columns. That's just from columns that the section view may have cut out, but if we go to level 1, then you might see that if we change the section view, because it's only showing that little cropped section of the column next to it, so that's why you might see little pieces of it next to it in the section view. And you can always, try to make it smaller if you don't want to see them, or bigger if you do want to see them. It's personal preference. Alright, so let's start by going to the 3D view. Since these are slanted columns, it's going to be easier to copy and paste them all. And so you're going to be easier to select them on 3D view because they're going to look a little bit weird, as I mentioned in the floor plans. So yeah, everything's ungrouped. So I'm just going to start by selecting all, and I'm going to hit filter, getting rid of anything that says analytical in front, and I'm getting rid of structural framing and floors because I only want those 96 structural columns. Apply, check to see that only the blue is what you want. Make sure you don't get those other columns in the middle either. Click OK. We're going to do copy to clipboard, and we're going to hit paste to selected views. And start by copying this to level 9. Click OK. something about that doesn't look right, so I'm gonna Control Z that. Still copy to the clipboard, so paste align to selected views. So if that happened, somehow it accidentally aligned to the wrong floor and aligned to maybe level 5 instead of level 9. So I'm gonna go to level 13. Okay, there we go. Like I said, it's always good to check in 3D view. So, yeah, it looks pretty good to me. But now, as you may remember, we have that little section that just is half that goes in the top. So, I'm gonna go to the front view, just select the bottom half. Again, I'm gonna filter. See, it'll just show 48 structural columns, which is half of what we had before. Apply. Copy to clipboard. Align to selected views. And I'm going to click level 17. Nope, did the same thing again. Control Z. Align to selected views. Level 21. You can't always tell which level it's going to latch onto. So, and there we go. If I click the little corner, I can move that around. And now I have all the slanted columns placed in the building.